We are now halfway through February, meaning Scream 7 is right around the corner. Out of all the movies of 2026, this is actually pretty high up there on most anticipated for a lot of people. Although I'm not really that much of a huge Scream fan, I am now, because I just watched all 6 Scream movies in preparation for the 7th one. So starting today, I'm going to be reviewing all of them on the channel. So subscribe here to see that, and today we're doing the first Scream trilogy. I'm now really excited for Scream 7. Let me know what you think, Scream fans, of the first original trilogy. I'm going to be covering one of the most revolutionary movies, one of the most praised sequels to a horror movie, and then a big disappointment for a lot of people. So without further ado, I'm Charlie, welcome to Cine Channel. Like and comment as well. The franchise also turns 30 this year, as the first one comes out in 1996, and the third one comes out in 2000. So that's what we'll be covering. Without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so first starting off with the now 30-year-old movie itself, Scream, which came out in 1996, absolutely changed the horror genre, and is a part of what made slashers today. So just starting off with the good, it's going to be that meta commentary that the Scream franchise is known for, and especially in this first movie, I think it has done the best. Where throughout the whole movie, they're talking about what happens in horror movies and how they need to survive as they find themselves in one when 2 of their classmates get killed. But Randy especially being the nerd, but also everybody else kind of knowing tropes from horror movies. It's just great to see a horror movie celebrating movies, and all the commentary, sometimes overplayed, still works. And for the time, it was like, whoa, we're tapping into some real shit, man. Next up is the suspense and mystery of the whole film. As though now it might seem obvious, there are a good amount of red herrings in this movie and little clues that it gives you. Just factors like that. They all work, and especially the suspense in that opening scene, and the ending too, honestly. All done very well, and I'd say innovative for its time. There is a sense of mystery and build up there. Next positive, the characters overall and the performances. This is the perfect cast to play these characters. Neve Campbell is a great final girl. One of the all-time classics, obviously. The whole friend group just works. They're funny, even though they all do not look like they're in high school. They act like it, and the dynamic between Billy and Stu at the end is just crazy to see. Even Dewey and Gale have become more iconic characters. And then bringing me to my last main positive, other than just all the little clues and movie references like I was mentioning earlier, the iconic scenes and obviously character in this movie, Ghostface. I mean, just the opening with Drew Barrymore is just amazing. I really forgot how suspenseful and drawn out it was, but in the best way. Really building that suspense from going to a normal person talking on the phone to then who am I looking at? All crazy stuff. And it does actually hold up today. More of the ending too, when Billy and Stu revealed the big plan, how they killed Sydney's mother and then had to cover it by just keep killing. It was just all great and will stick in your mind in the end from the crazy performances of Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich. Now talking about the bad, just some of the negatives I had with the movie. I know I was saying it mostly holds up, but some of the elements are kind of corny. Just with seeing the old ass phone falling from Billy's pants in that one scene. So just sometimes it feels a bit outdated. Again, with the meta stuff, it is cool to a point, but when everybody knows everything about a horror movie and how it's gonna go down, it's like, okay, these are all like the same character, just different personalities. And honestly, yes, the violence is there, but it is not any degree to where it goes in the later franchise, and it is fairly tame in this movie. I mean, yes, there's a lot of blood, but as for like gore, not so much. But honestly, like, that's really the only negatives. This is an all-time classic. Like I said, maybe it's done over the top at some moments, and the meta thing is like, okay, every character doesn't have to know everything. Overall, this is a great movie, a great starter to the franchise, an iconic movie, and there's nothing more I can say that hasn't already been said. I do give the original Scream a 9. Is that fair? Is that over the top? I don't know, but that's how I feel. And I'm not a huge fan of horror, so obviously I'm going to gravitate more towards Scream to be one of my number ones. Let me know what you think of the original 1996's Scream. Now on to 1997's Scream 2. Yes, you heard me right. This movie came out just 1 year after the first, so you would think that it would be kind of rushed, right? Well, no, this is actually considered one of the greatest horror film sequels of all time. So there's a lot here, and honestly, I kind of fall in the middle. So without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with the good, I'm just going to say the opening sequence again is just so iconic in this movie theater this time, and it's also the introduction of the Stab franchise, which is a movie based on the events of what happened in the first movie from the book that Gale wrote. Once again, the meta commentary is insane here, and it only goes further in this one, but really just this movie theater opening sequence is awesome. Not knowing who's the real Ghostface in this crowd of masks. As a movie fan, I just love the opening, but my first real topic is the set pieces. This movie just goes bigger and better in almost every way, like sequels should, and that does include the set pieces. We are at college now, which is cool. We had a cool movie theater opening. At the end, it takes place in a stage theater, which is awesome as well. But there's also this really cool scene with the sound booth, the car chase, them crawling over Ghostface. So there are bigger set pieces and moments in this movie. Once again, the meta commentary is just awesome. This time really hitting on all the tropes of sequels. Them talking about how they're in a sequel and that now something bad happened last time. They know something's happening this time. So they're actively trying to figure it out this time. The reoccurring characters like Randy, Sydney, and Gale are all great in this one, and the new ones like Mickey Mickey, and Derek, just the sweet boyfriend, which add to the whodunit and mystery in this one. We got stuff like Cotton Weary clearing his name from the first movie, and then once we get to the end, we find out Miss Loomis is one of the killers, along with Mickey, getting revenge for Billy Loomis, which was a cool homage to the original Friday the 13th at the time. Talking about Ghostface himself, we get to see him more sneaking around this time, as opposed to just him popping up in the last movie. I do like the violence in here. It's more than the last one, so I can very well see why a lot of people are saying this is one of the greatest horror sequels of all time. It's all there. But now talking about some of the bad and negatives I had with the movie, Mickey's motivation kind of felt out of nowhere compared to Miss Loomis's. I mean, it's still acceptable, as though I have a movie to blame now, so I can just get away with killing, but that's really all it is. He just wants to kill. This movie is still a bit outdated, only coming out 1 year after the first one. There's a bunch of over-the-top moments, technology again, and just everybody being like the smartest when it comes to movie knowledge. The death of Randy, I kind of thought was a bit jarring, happening in the middle of the daylight like that in a van with two other main characters right by him. I was just like, damn, okay. I really loved Randy. He's an awesome movie fan. But other than that, there's not much I can already add to Scream 2. Overall, this one is a great follow-up to the first. Bigger and better from set piece and cast standpoints. Just is a bit dated sometimes. Mickey's motive compared to Miss Loomis' motive is nothing, and it just suffers from some of the same problems as the first one does. But I'm going to give Scream 2 a 7. That is all I really have to say about Scream 2. What do you think of this one? And alright, let's move on to the last film. Now, the third and final movie coming out 3 years later in the year 2000, Scream 3. And pretty much an opposite to Scream 2, this one is regarded as one of the worst Scream movies and an overall disappointment. So without further ado, let's begin. With the good, okay. So with Scream 3 here, first thing I want to mention is that LA/Hollywood aesthetic. Because man, I love that. I mean, yes, it can be a bit cliche sometimes, since this is Ghostface Goes to Hollywood, but it is just still so cool to see. It's different and distinct for the Scream franchise, which usually takes place in a small town. So I like the switch up, and for a horror movie, that's cool. Another cool thing, though it's on the smaller scale, the voice changer is actually a really nice addition to the franchise, and it can be used in a lot of different ways, and it does in this film. It keeps things fresh, keeps the killer Ghostface fresh himself, since sometimes the killers can just feel like the same over and over again in the movies. The cast does great again. I'm just talking about the main ones. I do think the side characters are okay, but compared to last time, I don't really think so. But still, what we get of our main trio this time still works and makes sense for them. Sydney helping women in crisis, Gail still out there reporting, and Dewey on the set of the new Stab movie. Dewey, I guess, is telling him how everything happened, for more accuracy because he was there. I just think all that stuff works, though I understand how it's a bit less than the other two films, and a bit out there for Scream. The whodunit is still good. Like I said, there's more characters, it's a different area. This time you're like, okay, it could really be anybody, because also a lot of people know about Sydney in this whole case now. And I do like that we are tying in Sydney's mother again, just adding more lore in there, tying everything together. And last thing I'll say is that the Ghostface motive is cool, and how that also spans throughout 3 films. But both of the positives I just mentioned do have negative sides. But yes, the motive in this movie is really cool and a cool twist in the end, for the most part. Now I just want to get into the bad, all the negatives I had for this one, give you an idea to see why people are calling it one of the worst Scream films. First off, lack of violence in this one. Like I said, the tone is more goofy, and so there isn't really that much violence in this one. I mean, yes, it's still a horror movie, but like, I don't know. There's just blood and like the least amount of gore that there can be. I think that's because this was coming out around a shooting, so they had to heavily modify the movie. Another bad thing, like I was saying, the tone just is more silly in general. We're on a film set. We're going even more into the cliches of movies, so some of that can just feel really repetitive by this point. Another thing, the main characters kind of become invincible and have hella plot armor, which does kind of become a little bit of a distraction at some points. There is a lack of Sydney in this movie. For whatever reason, maybe the pay. For some reason, Scream is known for not paying the actors good, but Sydney is missing and is a potential closer to a trilogy, which I don't really know if this is like a full story trilogy, but it could have been the last one, and for Sydney not being in there, it does affect it. Okay, so now this is where I was saying I like the Ghostface motive, but I don't really like the reveal that it's Sydney's long-lost brother, Roman. I know it makes sense, but look, Sydney does not know who that is. We don't know who that is, so there's just no impact there. The past 2 movies, she knew, she was shocked when she finally found out who it was, but here she's just like, okay. He literally had to explain his backstory and who he was. That's where I'm kind of conflicted. I like the mom stuff, I like the twist, but also it's like, bro, who are you? And then one last little thing, Sydney's little hallucinations of her mom were not needed. Alright, I like the mom stuff, not bad. That just felt like some of the bad Michael Myers movies. But overall, Scream 3 was just disappointing. The tone was different. Although the location was great, it's still a bit jarring for a small town horror franchise. Lack of violence, and lack of the main star. Kind of just cements this movie as the worst of the 3. It's not awful though. it's still enjoyable, it's fun. Randy has a cameo, which is awesome. I'm going to give Scream 3 a 5.5. That is all I really have to say about Scream 3. Tell me what you think of this one. But okay, we have now just covered the first 3 Scream movies. Let's move on to the outro of this video. Alright, so there you have it. There is the first Scream trilogy reviewed. I do really like all these films. Love the first 2. Third one is still enjoyable, but still has its flaws. There is still flaws throughout the whole franchise, obviously, and these 3 first films. But the first one is obviously revolutionary. The second one is literally known as one of the best sequels of all time. And the third one? So let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you think of all these movies. Obviously, I'm going to review 4 through 6 in an upcoming video, and then review 7 when it's out. But once again, thank you for watching. Are you excited for Scream 7? What's your favorite out of these 3? Who's your favorite Scream character? And Ghostface. All those questions, answer them. But check out the channel, subscribe. Check out the Instagram and TikTok, both at Cine Channel. I'll see you in the next one.
What's your favorite scary movie?